Peace to everybody. This is about old toys from way back in the childhood days. If you have any old toys, keep them because they could be worth a lot of money. Rummaging around the attic in mom and dad's house might yield some valuable toys you discarded from your youth. Although the 80s and 90s weren't that long ago, many toys from these eras are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Before you declare millionaire status, research reselling tips. Laurie Anderson Dowell, a toy collector in California, says the most important feature to a toy's value is usually whether it is in its original packaging and what kind of condition the box, card, or bubble it is in. MIP mint in package and MIB mint in box. Toys are more highly convertible. Below is our list of valuable toys with their estimated original and potential selling prices. Perhaps you got one of these for Christmas and never opened it. Well, the first one is a Sky Dancer, and the original price was $9.99, and it might flip for $80. Twin brothers John and Anthony Gentile came up with the idea for Sky Dancer. The twins wrangled an aviation expert and a sculptor that worked on Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas to create the flying doll's design. They flew high and twirled with the pull of a string. As you can see here in the box, this is the Sky Dancer that you could pull the screen or string to make the doll fly. Companies that rejected the Gentiles pitched missed out. The toy became widely popular among young children, especially when they found out they couldn't launch the toy at their siblings. Many of the toys were recalled for safety reasons, and which just increased their value. So this toy was recalled because there could have been something wrong with it, like small parts that a child can eat, or anything else that could be wrong with it. Happy Meal toys. Average original price free, of course, with the Happy Meal, but it could flip for $100. McDonald's removed Happy Meals from its value menu, thus hiking up the price to $3.99 in most locations. The older toys that came with Happy Meals are skyrocketing in value, despite the meal no longer being considered valuable. As you can see here, here's the Happy Meal toys that came with the Happy Meal as a child, and now they're not around anymore. They easily sell on eBay for $100, some for a lot more. Mental Floss said that a whole set of McFurbies were recently put up for sale for $899. Seems like embracing the whole Furby craze was the right call for McDee's. And it was a lot of money to be on eBay for $899. Next one, Lite-Brite. The original price tag was $9.97, might flip from anywhere from $130 to $150. How magical and calming it was to make brightly lit and colored designs with the Lite-Brite. Time magazine named it one of the top 100 toys of all time in an article, due to the toy's continued popularity since its release in 1967. So it became very popular back then, and it's still popular now. And as you can see here in the picture, it has the word hello in the bright lights. Having you been hanging on to your Lite-Brite? If it's a vintage set still in its box, you could slang it for $130 to $150. Lite-Brites are still sold through retailers like Best Buy. New versions would not be worth that much, or whatever that is. So the Lite-Brites are still selling today, no matter how long ago these came out, and it's worth a lot of money if you were to sell it for $130 to $150. Toy Story toys. The original price tag is $30 and it was new back then. Might flip for $100. If you're like most millennials, you grew up watching Toy Story and probably have some of the toys in your boxes back at mom's house. Some of the main characters will sell for a couple hundos. Buzz goes for $550 and Woody $580. So yeah, they're both worth a lot of money. And here, as you can see, Woody's friend that she came later, of course, into another Toy Story movie. Supporting roles actually might sell for more. Take one of the villains, Stinky Pete, for instance. The little-known character's action figure could sell for $700. If you have any of the annoying alien characters from the Crane Machine, those might retail for $690. So Stinky Pete, he was a gold prospector, and he could sell for $700, while the little aliens that you could find in the toy machines to use the crane to try and pick them up, they can go for $690. Next up, Nintendo 64 games. The original price was $59.99, might flip for $750. If you have the right ones, that is. One of the most in-demand cartridges is Mario Kart 64. A mint-condition one in an unopened box can get you $750. A rare one that'll get you even more money is Harvest Moon 64. So if you have any old cartridges of Nintendo 64 or whatever, yes, you can get $750 for them. And as you can see here, this is an old Atari game. Everybody know about these, and these were popular back then, and they probably are now, but you won't be able to find them anymore. No, it's not a Neil Young game. He had a song called Harvest Moon. Get it? Yeah, we get it. But a farming game that was never produced in large quantities. People weren't into farm games back in the day. Apparently, its loyal fan base inflated its worth to $900. So now the Nintendo could be worth a lot more than what it is now or back then, and it will keep adding up the prices and that. Now, I know everybody got to have a Furby, because I know I didn't when I was growing up. I had to play with whatever toys I had in my bedroom at the time, and the original price for this Furby was $35, but the Furby might flip for $900. Do you have an old Furby collecting dust in your attic? If so, duh, no, la, in case you don't speak Furbish. That translates roughly to "it's time to party," and party you shall, because your Furby can be sold for $900. Excuse me. Well, this Furby, yes, it can be sold for $900, and it's worth a lot of money. Look, and as you can see, here are the Furbies that are excuse me, that are electronically done, whatever you can make it do in that. The annoying fuzzy electronic critter became the must-have item for the 90s kids, much to the disdain of parents forced to listen to its incessant gibberish to pull in the big bucks. Nowadays, your Furby needs to be in its original box. So if you have a Furby and it's in the original box, yes, it can be worth a lot of money today than it was back then. Next up is the Pogs. Well, the original price was with the dairy product, of course, and it could flip for $1,000. Excuse me. Pogs were originally round cardboard inserts in milk caps. With rich kids played a flipping game, it's insane to think they could pull in $1,000. That is, if you have the full Marilyn Monroe set, it's rarity has pumped up its value, possibly also the appeal of the blonde starlet. So the pogs that you could find in milk caps or whatever, but they don't have them now. But back then, yes. But now they could flip for $1,000, and here are the pogs in this picture that you see here that could be what they could flip for $1,000. If you have the complete Jurassic Park set, it could possibly be worth more than $1,000. One full set of Pogs of the movie Dinos, which included 6 holographic Pogs, pulled in $1 million. More normal sets can do at least $100. So yeah, if you have the Jurassic Park set, it could be worth more than $1,000. It could be worth thousands more up. Now the Game Boy, we not. I never had one when I was. Oh no, I did have a couple of them. Excuse me. But there was a lot of things I had to get rid of course. The original price is $89.99, and my flip for $750 to $1,500. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my throat is dry. The most valuable toys are vintage ones, even if they're not that old like Game Boy. Created in 1989, the Game Boy became a popular handheld game console. If you're a 90s kid, and you're likely to have one laying around your house. So if your child has one laying around the house or whatever, yeah, it could be worth a lot of money today. And here, as you can see, the Game Boy console with the Game Boy cartridges that you may have. How much can you resell it for? Surprisingly, a lot. An OG Game Boy can get up to over $1,000 on eBay. Do you have the gold-plated diamond encrusted special edition Game Boy? You probably don't, but if you do, you might be looking at $25,000. So yeah, it can get to that price very much. Excuse me. And it could, excuse me, it could be a lot of money right there. Skeletor action figure. Of course, we all know about He-Man, Masters of the Universe. But the original price for Skeletor was $4.99. 1982 price for He-Man toy might flip for $1,600. And we all know about that cartoon very much. If your formative years were in the 80s, you probably were a fan of the Masters of the Universe franchise, released in 1982. Everyone loved the protagonist He-Man, but it's actually his arch nemesis Skeletor that's worth the big bucks. So now we got Skeletor action figure that is worth a lot of money, and he could flip for $1,600. And as you can see here, here's a picture of Skeletor with the sword and whatever this thing is he's holding, and he could flip for a lot of money. Anyone forced to play the villain during playtime will be pleasantly surprised. Die-hard collectors are willing to shell out, $1,650 for a Skeletor action figure, as with most toys in the reselling game. It has to be in its original box to be sold for that price. So if you have a Skeletor toy there in its original box, leave it in the box, because this is what it could be worth, $1,650. Next up is the Polly Pocket, and I never had one when I was growing up, and it was the original price, it was $14.99. That was the new price. Now the vintage price, it might flip for $1,926. These tiny doll portable sets, popular in the 80s and 90s, came in various themes: mermaid, princess, you name it. If you managed to keep track of every piece of your Polly Pocket set, you could get some cold hard cash. So if you have any of these Polly Pockets, you could pretty much get a lot of money for them. And here is they are like this in its original thing and whatever. Reselling sites like eBay are best for selling Polly. Got a Sparkle Surprise Polly Pocket set? Say hello to $449.99. If you have a complete version of one of the larger castle sets, you might be able to flip it for $1,926. So that's a lot of money right there that you can get to flip it for. Next up is Transformer action figures. The original price was $20 back then, and it might flip for $2,000. And we all know the kids used to watch Transformers growing up, and I guess the next generations are watching it too, but it's hard to catch anything on TV these days because most of the cartoons are all gone unless you can find them on YouTube. Transformers first came out on the scene in the 1980s. The franchise action figures values have skyrocketed since then, especially the very popular hero Optimus Prime. Transformers are still sold at places like Target or Walmart, but only vintage ones are available. So only the obvious ones are available right now that are either at Target or Walmart only. And as you can see here in the picture, this is one of the Transformers that could be worth a lot of money. A vintage Optimus Prime action figure in its unopened box has sold on eBay for $2,000. That's basically 100 times its original price. This might be hard to find lying around. Most kids with Optimus action figures played with them relentlessly. Yes, this Transformer could be a lot of, could be up to $2,000 only, and that is basically 100 times more than what the original price was. Playmobil, I have no idea what this toy ever does because I never had one. The original price can go anywhere from $18 to $26, 1990 price. It might flip for $1,999 to $2,322. In recent years, this toy has become a cult obsession for adults, although it was originally created for children. The vintage sets have captivated its popularity due to the toy's wide array of unique sets and characters. You won't believe how much some it'll sell for. So if you have these kind of toys that, yes, it could be flipped for that amount of money. And as you can see here, this is it right here. The vintage toys that was originally for children, but instead they made it for adults. And it's kind of silly that the adults would play with something like this. A big collection of vintage Playmobil listed on eBay for $1,999. That's not a crazy asking price. Figurines in original boxes have gone for $2,322. You could sell them on eBay or Etsy without original packaging but for lower prices. I'm sorry. It could be sold for lower prices, but right now it could be flipped up to a lot amount of money than what the original price is. Lego trains, never had one, but I'm pretty sure the kids may have one or they might not have one. It all depends on what the kids are getting in Lego these days. Now the original price was $159.99. And now it could be flipped anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 vintage. Lego first hit the retail scene way back in 1949, capturing the children's imagination and even developing into theme parks. The Lego train made for a fun toy. Not only could children build little scenes, but they could also have an electronic train chug through them. Well, when I was a kid, I had Legos, yes, but it was difficult trying to do things, and so I had my father do the Lego house for me, and that because I had all the Legos in that, but I never had the train thing. So mine, when I was growing up, the Legos were different back than what it is now. And as you can see here in the picture, here's the Lego train set or whatever. Then you got the little people, the buildings, and everything else. There are many varieties within the Lego electric train category, such as the high-speed City Express trains from 1985 and the diesel freight trains. Those models in original unopened boxes could yield about $1,500 to $3,000. So this could be worth a lot of money. It all depends on which one you have, though. Next up, the Cabbage Patch Kids. I'm pretty sure everybody had one of these except for me because I never had one, and so I never really experienced any toys further on when I was growing up than what I had back then. The original price was $24.99 and it might flip for $3,000. The round-faced, soft-sculptured baby dolls first registered for their U.S. copyright in 1978 and exploded in popularity. More on the backstory here. Toy collector Laurie Anderson Dowell clarifies, one didn't buy a Cabbage Patch doll, one adopted it. Hence, you were paying an adoption fee. Many a child begged their parent for a Cabbage Patch Kid doll for Christmas. So if your child had begged you for a Cabbage Patch Kid, oh boy, you would adopt it instead of you would adopt the adoption fee. And as you can see here, this little girl got a Cabbage Patch Kid doll for Christmas back then. Rare dolls are still coveted, but worth way more nowadays. A James Dudley 1984, or I'm sorry, excuse me, 1985 Cabbage Patch doll, for example, might go for $3,000, and a 1981 blonde girl Little People doll could fetch $2,000. So, yes, it can be worth a lot of money right about now. If you have one of these, I don't have one, so I never got a chance. Tamagotchi. I never really know. I know some of these words I'm butchering, and I do apologize for that. But the original price was $17.99, and it could flip for $3,000. Tamagotchis were the bane of many parents' existence. The handheld visual pets required an incessant care and attention, which often fell onto parents, just to stay alive. At the height of Tamagotchi's craze, a frustrated mother told the Chicago Tribune, I wake up every morning and something is dead. Yikes. So mostly it falls onto the parents because the child, they didn't want to take care of it or whatever, so the parents would end up dealing with it. And this is what it looks like right here in this picture. This person is holding it. So if there's something wrong with it, you would have to take care of it. Like most 90s trends, this toy has made a comeback. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom were even spotted accessorizing their red carpet looks with some old school Tamagotchis. I don't know. An original Tamagotchis in its unopened box can yield up to $3,000. So, yes, it could be worth a lot of money. So, if you have one of these, you could be keep it in the box, and it could be yield up to $3,000. Easy bake oven. Well, I'm sure kids are loving this right now. They're learning something new like cooking, just pretending cooking though, but not really. The original price tag was $10.97 and it might flip for $4,000. Just about every kid begged for an easy baked oven when it came onto the market right before Christmas in 1963. It was modeled after 60s kitchen in a then on trend light yellow or teal color. Got a vintage set? It might go for $4,000. So if you have this, yes, it could be worth a lot of money. like it could be worth a lot of money, of $4,000, and it came out in 1963, so that's definitely an antique. And here's the Easy Bake Cut kitchen. As you see here, got everything that it's supposed to have. Its hefty value might have to do with how popular the toy became. It's even part of the National Toy Hall of Fame. Forget the fact real ovens cost less than $4,000. Why not bake with incandescent light bulbs instead? So this is heavy value, and it could be worth a lot of money, up to $4,000. Now, if your child has a Garbage Pail Kids, please keep it, because this could be worth a lot of money. The original price back then was 25 cents a pack, and it might flip for $4,000, so you know how that goes. For all the youngins out there, Garbage Pail Kids were collectible sticker cards first made popular in the 1980s. They featured child characters with terrible abnormalities or fates told in a comical way. The cards were banned in schools, which cited them as distractions. Well, okay, so now we know what happened. The school has banned these cards because it was distracting other kids from their homework or board work or whatever they was doing. And here it is the card that it looked like back then, half human and half machine and that. Any cards you have still might be valuable, especially one rare card. One man sold the rare Atom Bomb card on eBay for $4,000. We're guessing that's because Atom Bomb was the most iconic of the series. Less rare sets can still yield a couple of hundos. So yeah, it could very well be worth a lot of money, these cabbage or Garbage Pail Kids, and you know how that is. Now, I never heard of this toy before, Boba Fett action figure, so I was never around too much of new toys that were coming out when I was growing up. The original price tag was $24.99, and now it could flip for $5,000. The Boba Fett action figure was a mail away promotion advertising a firing missile from his backpack, says Anderson Dowell. This was deemed unsafe, so this version wasn't released. Some did show up on the market. However, Anderson Dowell guesses they were prototypes, which sold for a high price. So this toy was not allowed to come out at all, but somehow it showed up on the market for some reason, and I guess they just made a lot of money off of it. And this is what it looks like right here in this picture. The toy that's worth a lot of money. If you have the Star Wars villain Boba Fett action figure in mint condition in an unopened box, you might be able to score a cool $5,000 for it. Opened Boba Fett toys might be able to score some good cash as well. So it doesn't matter if it was in the box or if you already opened it. And of course, it could be worth a lot of money. Next up are the Beanie Babies. Yes, they're still around today. You just have to find out which store sells them. And, you know, I've seen them at Rite Aid. They sell the Beanie Babies, and they're still around. The original price tag for them were $5, and it could flip for $5,000. Remember the Beanie Baby craze? Before Pokemon? These were the toys kids had to catch them all, much of their parents' dismay. You can resell some Beanie Babies for more than others. Cue everyone checking their collections. But there's one that's the most coveted of all. The Beanie Babies are still around, and yes, they are. And here's the little girl with her Beanie Babies, and you can still find them today. They have only been 2,000 Peanut the Royal Blue Elephant Beanie Babies created. Thus, its value has skyrocketed into the thousands. Some can sell for $5,000. Beanie Babies with manufacturing flaws can sell for more than others too. And yes, it can. And if you have them, keep them. Put them up on a high shelf or something, because they are worth a lot of money today, even though they're still around. Next up, American Girl dolls. The original price tag $82, and it might flip for $5,000. We're sure many parents hated being dragged into the American Girl store or thumbing through the catalogs to purchase the doll's multiple and expensive accessories. The 1950s era doll Molly I can't even say that name, is particularly valuable because of its rarity. A mint condition Molly can go for $5,000. So this toy is an antique, and could go for $5,000, as the little girl in this picture here is holding. She's holding an antique doll that is worth a lot of money. Molly is rare because production of the doll stopped in 2013 after 27 years on the market. Other discounted models like Kristen, Samantha, and Felicity can rake in pretty pennies, especially if they were made by its original manufacturer, Pleasant Company. Oh yes, so yes, it's definitely worth a lot of money because it's an antique. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Of course, we all seen the Harry Potter movies. I know I definitely have, but I never read the books, so you know how this goes. The original price was $10.99, the new price, and it might flip for $6,500 vintage. Toys are not the only childhood items you can resell for a profit. Books can also be resold for a pretty penny, especially if they are a first edition copy of the widely popular Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Those can sell for $6,500, and definitely they sure can. And as you can see here, here's a whole collection of the books that J.K. Rowling have wrote, and like I said, I have never read these books. I only seen the movies. That was it. In general, first edition copies of books are the most valuable. A first edition of the magic-centric novel signed by author J.K. Rowling herself could go for a whopping $15,000. Wow, that's a lot of money right there. These books are especially valuable if you haven't lovingly dug errand of all its pages. So this is a good penny off of these Harry Potter books that are worth a lot of money, especially they're signed by J.K. Rowling herself. Where the Wild Things Are. Well, we knew this was coming sooner or later to become a lot of money, but I never saw the movie, so I really don't know how it was or anything, but the original price tag that was new, $8.95, and the vintage price that might flip for $25,000. Before you hurry to sell your child's favorite book, check that it is the 1963 first edition signed copy of Where the Wild Things Are. Such a copy was sold in 2012 for $25,000 on ababooks.com. Got a mint first edition copy without Maurice's Sandek's autograph. So if you have this book, oh yeah, it could definitely be our toy or whatever. It is worth $25,000. So it's actually a book, but I never saw the movie, so I don't know how that is. And of course, here is the original monster head thing that from Where the Wild Things Are. Such a version might still rake in some cash. A collector is sure to be interested in the book is well loved. By its 50th anniversary in 2013, the book has sold 20 million copies. So this book is pretty popular, and it's an antique as well. Luke Skywalker action figure. Yeah, we know about Star Wars. We know about what's what, and everybody was Star Wars crazy and everything else. The original price for it new was $20, and the vintage price could be flipped for $25,000. Not any old Luke Skywalker action figure can sell for $25,000. Only a limited edition. 1978 figurine can. One was sold at a Sotheby's auction. I don't know. Sotheby's auction for that price in 2015. It belonged to Tom Tomaki. I don't know how to say these names because they're putting names in here I can't even pronounce and I butcher them. The creator of the Japanese clothing line, the Bathing Ape. Oh, wow. Well, yes, it was sold for $25,000. The Luke Skywalker action figure. And as you can see here, here he is with his laser sword and everything else that's in there with it. With only 20 copies of the toy ever made, it has a rare double telescoping laser lightsaber. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That easily broke, thus it was pulled from production. Today you might swipe a Luke Skywalker for around $20 at Target, but those lack in rarity and convergence, well, or something like that. But yes, the lightsaber was broke back then. Then, of course, today you would still get the Luke Skywalker at Target for $20. Next up is Pez. Oh, who had Pez? I know I did when I was growing up. And the original price for that now new was $1.79. I'm sorry, and the vintage price now could flip for $32,000. The first Pez candy dispenser was made in 1927, Austria. The name is an abbreviation for the German word for peppermint. I can't even say that word. It says Anderson Doll. The dispenser was designed with sanitation in mind, so you wouldn't be touching more than one sweet at a time. You could find a dispenser in the shape of any of your favorite movie characters. So yes, it could be anything that you want it to be. And here is a whole collection of them. You got like the little baby Simpson. There's Marge Simpson, Homer, Lisa. Here's the clown. There's Tasmanian Devil, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Incredibles collection, Bugs Bunny, and my most favorite one, Hello Kitty, and of course the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you're willing to part with your particularly rare Pez dispensers, you could make lots of money. A vintage rabbit fat ear Pez is selling on eBay for $124. However, Astronaut B, a dispenser created for the 1982 World's Fair, sold for $32,000. So that one went a lot more money than what the rabbit went. Ah, yes, the good old Atari games. Who remembers those from the good old days? And yes, they were worth a lot of money now than they were back then. Average original price $199. Introductory price for console. Now it could flip for $33,400. If you have a stash of old Atari 2600 games, you might be sitting on a gold mine. Well, if you have that, yes, you can. One of the most valuable of all is the Air Raid. A used version brings in $13,900, while one in its original box might be worth $33,400. So right there, you could be sitting on a gold mine right now with the Atari games. And as you can see here, here's the little, or no, it's an adult, I'm sorry, playing with the Atari or Nintendo or whatever she's playing with. Another rare game, Red Sea Crossing, sells for a bit less at $13,800. But who are we kidding? That's still a lot. Its appeal stems from its limited promotion other than an ad in Christianity Today magazine. Gamers don't know about it until 2007. So Red Sea Crossing could be selling a lot of money, and yes, it could be a lot of money, and it went for less at $13,800, and nobody didn't know about it until 2007. Pokemon cards, I never had them, but I've seen all of the Pokemon cartoons, and you gotta collect them all. The original price tag was $10 to $20, and now it could flip for $100,000. Your parents will be happy to know all the Pokemon cards you collected back in the day are finally worth something. The most valuable of all, perhaps the Japanese version Pikachu Illustrator card in 1998, one sold on eBay for a large sum of $100,000. So the Pikachu was definitely worth a lot of money. And as you can see here, here's all the Pokemon cards that you could buy and collect them all. The series was first created in 1995 by the Japan-based Satoshi Tajiri. The trading card game, which was based on the animated series, launched in the US in 2003. Much like Beanie Babies, it drove kids to covet the entire collection. By March 2018, it had sold over 25.7 billion cards worldwide. So that's a lot of cards to be selling. And wow. Hot Wheels, I'm pretty sure the boys had these when they were growing up. They might still have them today as a collector's item. The original price was like $59. 59 cents. I'm sorry, excuse me, and I apologize for that. And now it could flip for $125,000. Some of these mini cars are worth the same price as real cars. The 1969 pink rear loading Volkswagen Beach Bomb Hot Wheels cars sold for an incredible $125,000. Before you get hopeful, there was only one ever made of this toy, hence the high price. So that was definitely a high price to be sold for. Here are the Hot Wheels. I'm sure they're still around today, and that the kids can get to them. And I know the kids, the boys, would say, Mommy, I want one. Well, yeah, the mommy would say no, but the kid would eventually keep pestering until the mom gives in. Other Hot Wheels toys might be able to be sold for high prices on eBay, or if you're ambitious enough, at the annual Hot Wheels Collectors Convention in Los Angeles. Some other high rollers include a Volkswagen minibus priced at $20,000. Wow. Now that is definitely a lot of money too. The Volkswagen minibus, yeah, it is. Everybody's favorite game, Monopoly. Yes, I have played this game so many times, and oh my gosh, I know it was kind of hard to try to collect all the pieces, or no, all the property and everything. The original price was $2, and it might flip for $146,500. The money-centric board game was first released by Parker Brothers in 1933. Ironically, it was based on another 1903 toy called The Landlord's Game, meant to show the greed of monopolization, says Anderson Dowell. Creator Elizabeth Magie meant to demonstrate Ricardo's law of economic rent, jurist concepts of economic privilege and land value taxation. So this game came out in 1933, so it's definitely an antique and very old. As you can see here, family night, the mother, the father, and his daughter playing Monopoly. So you know how, and it's not easy trying to grab all the property all at once. Charles Darrow is often credited as the creator of the Monopoly we know today, but its version is diverted from Magie's The Landlord Game. Darrow originally made the game on oilcloth instead of stiff cardboard, A hand-drawn version of the game from the early 30s is worth $146,500. So originally it was made on an oilcloth, and they didn't have cardboard back then, so it was definitely an antique, and it was worth $146,500 back then. And the G.I. Joe, yes, well, we all know about the cartoons of the G.I. Joe and from back in the day, and you know how that goes. The original price tag was $2.54 to $5.66, and now it could flip for $200,000. G.I. Joe first came onto the scene in 1964. The selling price for the figurines varied depending on the version purchased, but in 1968 a basic soldier toy sold for $2.54. A talking version could be $4.94, and a nurse action figure was $5.66. So it was pretty cheap back then. And yes, it did come out in 1964, so cheap toys back then, but not like today. And as you can see here, one of the G.I. Joe figures, and all dressed in combat and everything, and you got down here what he needs. Some vintage G.I. Joe action figures sell for much more now. In 2003, a prototype G.I. Joe sold at an auction for $200,000. Other toys have sold for less. The Missile Command Center sold for $17,500, while other action figures have sold for $10,000. So that's pretty good pennies what they have been sold for. Barbie, yes, everybody loves Barbie. I never had one when I was growing up, but I'm sure the girls did, and they still have them today, and they're still probably collecting them today because there are all kinds of Barbie dolls out there on the shelves and everything that you could dress them all up in. The original price was $1.92 to $3.69. And the flipping price can go for $300,500. I'm sorry, I had to correct myself. This Barbie, created by designer Stefano Cantore, sold for an unbelievable price. The blonde doll is dressed in a black evening gown with a rare pink diamond necklace at auction. It sold for a whopping $302,500, with proceeds benefiting the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So this doll is pretty popular back then, and it still is. And here's a picture of Barbie in her yellow outfit with her pink shoes, or if she's not wearing shoes, I do apologize for that. But yes, this is her. Barbie was first created in 1959 by the co-founder of Mattel, Ruth Handler, as Handler's doll modernized. Other designers began designing gowns for Barbie. Other vintage Barbies to sell for a lot include a first edition doll, which sold for $23,000, and the De Beers 40th anniversary Barbie, which sold for $85,000. So that was definitely a lot of money back then, and it still is today. These Barbies are worth a lot of money. So if you have any of these toys, please keep them because they could be worth a lot of money. I am out.